Good morning. Good morning, everybody. I'm back. I was gone for probably, exactly a week. Actually, a little over a week for you guys, but for myself, being out of the house and traveling, stuff like that, for a week. So, yes, I hope everybody had a good week last week. I did. Let me tell you a little bit about what I was up to. I actually went on another mission trip. I went to, in the States this time. Last time I went to France and everything. This time I went to Utah. I went to Utah and helped out a fellow church out there and helped them do some work and helped the pastors out at their house and stuff like that. It was a great trip. Utah is beautiful. If you live in Utah, holy moly, you guys have a beautiful state. Here's kind of the funny thing is, like, I have been to Utah a few times, but only in the airport. I've been to every state around Utah and like explored every state in, around it. But in Utah, I had only been to the airport in Salt Lake City. I had never left the airport until this trip. So I got to experience Utah. You guys are watching, you're from Utah. I love your state. It is a beautiful place. The mountains are gorgeous. The access to the mountains is really accessible. We vacationed a lot in Colorado and things like that. And it takes a little bit more time to kind of get up into the mountains. But in Utah, you can be up there in no time at all. So that was really, really cool. So that was awesome. Let me know what you guys have been up to. It's been a little bit. Today, I'll tell you, I'm going to talk about interest rates. We'll talk about another article. It's always so funny. Is that these articles come out and they say, will the housing market crash in 2026? I find it funny that we're still talking about that. But anyway, it popped up. I was like, yeah, we'll talk about it. Typically, that statement leads into a bunch of data and that kind of stuff. So we'll talk about what that means and what that looks like. Then we have an article that says how real estate is rethinking social media in the AI era. Man, you can't escape this AI stuff, can you? I mean, you cannot escape it. It's constantly AI. Then I'll talk briefly. So one of the news sources that I use is Inman. I really like Inman News. It's real estate specific. They're doing a revamp of their entire platform. So if you guys are Inman users, I'm going to read through kind of what this revamp is. And it's actually, I think it's going to make Inman more advantageous for agents to be members of, if it pans out the way that it seems like it's going to. And we'll get into what that looks like. And then we'll wrap up with just a title. It says 1,500 real estate agents tested their AI search visibility. Only 1 in 10 showed up at all. So kind of interesting. And of course, we'll go over the mortgage rates. So now, if this is your first time here watching, let me just tell you what I do here is basically I go live and I talk about real estate news. I just go over real estate news and what's going on, break down, give you my opinion, observations, those type of things. So this show tends to be very focused on helping real estate agents, but the consumers also find a lot of information about it as well. So regardless of what you are, hopefully you find some benefits here. Here's the other thing too. Engage with me in comments, talk to me, that kind of stuff as I go through these articles. I greatly appreciate it. It just makes it kind of more fun. And this is a live show, so that's the benefit of this. That's what I want. I like the engagement and the talking through things. With all that being said, before we get into the show, let's just talk briefly about the interest rates. Interest rates. The typical thing that people want to talk about when they start talking about the real estate market, they immediately go to the interest rates. And right now, yeah, that's a topic because with everything that's going on in Iran and uneasiness and all that kind of stuff, it causes our interest rates to go kind of bonkers. And that's kind of where we're at, guys. Now, this is only one metric, guys. One metric about buying houses. So it is an easy metric to kind of quote and run headlines on. But the reality is it's just one metric that is the factor in buying or selling houses. It's not the factor. So let's keep that in mind. All right. Also, yeah. Hey, Kevin, good to see you, my friend. Glad you were here to watch the show. Appreciate it. You're always here. Greatly appreciated. All right. This is currently where we're sitting at with the mortgage rates. We're sitting at, 6.83. 6.83%. So 30-year fixed rate, 6.83. That's up another 0.06. We have been inching up as we go. You can kind of see the metric, the little graph right here. You know, you can kind of see it's inching up. We're still below 7, but we are getting close, guys. That means your 15-year fixed rate is 6.32, 30-year jumbo 6.91, but then your FHA and VA is sitting right at 6.34 and 6.36. So that's where we're at with our interest rates, guys. You know, it is what it is. I'm going to click this article here and we'll just kind of skim through it, see what it says. To be fair, mortgage rates haven't been far from their long-term highs in over a week, but today's 30-year fixed rate index level of 6.83 is functionally equivalent to the actual long-term high of 6.85 seen on July 23rd. Higher rates are driven by weakness in the bond market. The latter can happen for many reasons. Sometimes those reasons are as simple as economic reports showing stronger job growth or higher inflation. Other times, the reasons are more esoteric. So typically, they're right. Like most times, like the bond market gets affected because of what's happening in regards to the economic report and job growth. If it's growing really fast, inflation is going really high, they will a lot of times adjust the interest rates accordingly to try to curb some of those growth patterns. That way, they don't cause a big spike in affordability. So they're trying to control that. Other times, obviously, there's other issues at play. And it's in not so many words, it says this: Japan occasionally sells dollar-denominated bonds in order to buy yen-denominated bonds in order to make its own currency more valuable. Today, the U.S. did the same in order to take some control of that narrative and have a say in the bonds that were being sold. Either way, bond selling equals higher rates, all else equal. Okay, so we're selling bonds, therefore higher rates. Now, if you want a better deep dive into how all that correlates and what all that means, you can go to my YouTube channel. I did a whole video breakdown how the Fed sets interest rates, what that means, and how to navigate it and all that kind of stuff. So you can go check that out on my YouTube channel, the Real Estate Advantage, youtube.com/The Real Estate Advantage. You can check that out. And while you're there, consider subscribing. All right. So with that being said, guys, it is time to jump into today's show. And like I said, we got a few articles coming up. There's not a whole lot going on in real estate news. I mean, I could easily go down the road of like all the, private listing market and lawsuits and all that kind of stuff. And I'm going to give you some of my observations and where I believe you can find opportunity. So if you're ready to gain your real estate edge, let's dive into our very first story. And this story is going to be the 2026 housing market crash. Okay. So Yahoo Finance, which actually, Michelle Lerner, E. Napolitano, and Hal Bundrick wrote this article. And it says, will the housing market crash in 2026? That's the question. What the first half of the year tells us. Now, guys, listening, what do you think? Do you think that the next 6 months of real estate in our economy, is it going to crash? What's your thoughts? Do you think it's going to crash? All right, here's the article. A housing market crash happens when home values plummet due to a lack of demand. Due to a lack of demand for an oversupply of homes. The factors leading to a housing market crash are varied, ranging from economic recessions to high mortgage rates that make it less affordable to buy a home. A housing crash can have upsides, low home prices, and downsides, losing built-up equity and tighter finances. So what's ahead for the housing market in 2026? So they always, Darren, thank you for being here. You don't think so? I would agree. I would absolutely agree. And I think that's actually what this article is going to get to. I've not actually read all the way through this, so just so you guys know, I sometimes skim the articles. Sometimes I don't even read them at all. So I don't know where they necessarily go, but Darren, I would agree. If you look at the market, what we look at right now, you don't see the makeup for a crash, right? You don't see a big spike in foreclosures. You don't see a high, even though the interest rates are going high, there's still the other factor and the other side of the pendulum that job growth is still happening. Now, your corporate job growth has been very minor, but your private sector job growth has been great. So it's still kind of balancing itself out. MN Fly Fisherman, the foreclosure crash was not demand-based. Yeah, and that's true. You're right. That was, the foreclosure crash that we happened. I believe you're referring back to like the main crash, like 2006, 2008. And that was all about proprietary lending and all kinds of just craziness. That's another reason that when you look at this market, that it makes it very, very different, is because you don't have all that kind of stuff going on. 2003 or so. Yes. That's what I thought you were talking about. Yeah, exactly. It's just not the same market that we were in back then. So that's cool. So fly fisherman, here's the thing. I've never been fly fishing. This is like totally off the topic, but your name triggered it. But it looks so fun. I mean, my problem, just so you know, this is a complete bunny trail, but I have a lack of patience for fishing in general. I casting the line and sitting there and waiting. I'm a little bit too, I wouldn't put myself in the category as hyperactive, but I like to go and do things. But the fly fishing part looks fun because it's a constant like activity, So anyway, bunny trail, but thanks for being here, fly fisherman. Appreciate it. Yeah, that would be my opinion too. I don't think it's going to crash. Is the housing market going to crash soon? Generally, experts don't foresee a housing market crash in 2026. If anything, they see a greater sense of normalcy following multiple years of twists and turns. Here's the quote. We're not heading toward a housing crash. We're in a market correction defined by stability, not volatility. Hobby Hanna, CEO of Howard Hanna Real Estate Services, said via email. Goes on to quote, today's housing environment is fundamentally different from 2008. Hey, Fisherman, this is getting right back to what you were talking about, okay? It's fundamentally different than that. You nailed it. Here we go. Pause for just a second. It's good, but a hobby that requires a lot of expense. Okay, yeah. Yeah, I bet it does. We're talking about fly fishing and the cost of that. Yeah, I bet it's super expensive. But hobbies are. Like, there's two hobbies that I have that are very expensive. I do photography. I love taking photos and stuff like that. And if you're in photography, you like buying gear. It doesn't make the pictures any better, but it's just fun to shop for it and you buy it. Secondly is cycling and mountain biking, that kind of stuff. Holy moly, that is an expensive sport. So, look, if I picked up fly fishing, apparently I don't mind to spend money on hobbies. So, but it does look fun. I don't really have a place to go fly fishing. We live on a lake. Not really good for fly fishing, but I think there are some rivers around us, so we could do that. But you nailed it. 2008. Homeowners have record levels of equity. That's true. There's tons of equity. Tons and tons of equity. Lending standards are sound. Goes back to what Fisherman was talking about. And inventory remains constrained. What we're seeing now is a normalization, not a collapse, as the market adjusts to new economic realities. For buyers and sellers, this is a market filled with opportunity and resilience, not instability or uncertainty. Now, he is right on like all fronts, right? We talk about this all of the time, and he's right. It's like, yep, this is true. This is all the case. There is the other aspect of this, and this is where it's very local, depending on where you're at. But the reality is the affordability is still a major factor in buying homes. Matter of fact, I was reading an article yesterday, kind of just skimming through articles, and one of the articles was kind of talking about how the average buyer in America is becoming more of a second home or vacation home buyer. Now, not saying that's the majority, but that the percentage of people doing that is increasing, which tells you something. It tells you the ones that actually can buy and are willing to pay money are the upper earners, the higher wealthy ones that do that. So that's an interesting shift that we've not seen in a long time. And that means that first-time home buyer, average purchase price is gradually inching up. And that means that it's going to take more money to then buy the homes that are in the average selling price. So that means, someone that's like in their 20s and 30s are going to have a harder time buying a house right now because of the cost of the home. So you're pushing that up into the mid 30s, maybe into their 40s before they can actually buy their first house because of the amount of income that's required. So we're still in this weird gap thing going on. So that's the only caveat I'd give to that. Good morning, Bobby. Glad you're here, man. Let me know how the training's going. I know you're probably training for a triathlon or something like that, but it's good to see you. Hopefully the real estate's going well for you as well. Hopefully you've had some closing. I think the last time we spoke, I think it was, almost 2 weeks ago, you were having a closing, things like that. So give me an update, man. Love to hear about it. Building is booming here, rural. Yeah, there you go. Fly Fisherman said that. He said building is booming here, rural. Yeah, so this is an interesting thing. And this, I don't know, I'm assuming Minnesota maybe is where you're at, Fly Fisherman. Let me know if that's true. The MN maybe. But I would say that's true because we see that in our market as well. Yeah, okay, good. That's where we see it as well, the rural markets, because what's happening is people are getting out of the busy, metropolitan areas and moving into the more rural suburban areas. And that cost of living is way less. People can work from home more, or they're deciding to commute more, those type of things. And there's housing is growing up everywhere. There's subdivisions popping up everywhere on the outskirts. So if you look at this as a report, as a generalization of America, well, those stats always kind of get a little bit skewed because you start pulling in the major cities like Chicago, LA, New York, Miami, those type of places, and it throws the numbers off. That's why when you read articles like this, and most of you guys know this, but just realize that you read it, you digest kind of what's happening, and you take that information and you go into the more local area. You go into your MLS and start pulling information and data to see what's actually going on, because this gives you a bird's eye view. And this is the bird's eye view that your consumer is reading. And this is the clickbait that they're going to be posting and going all that kind of stuff. And then you need to be able to go into your local area and respond to what's actually going on. So that's the interesting thing. Coach Lucas, how long have I been a realtor for? Oh gosh, 20, let's see, this is my 22nd year in real estate. Yeah. Been doing it for a very long time. I've just so you know, thanks for asking too. I've been doing it for a very long time. I've done everything from just being a real estate agent to being a broker. I've helped develop properties and, foreclosures and flips and you name it, commercial, farms. I've kind of been all over the auctions. So I've done a little bit of everything in my entire span of my career. So yeah. And most people ask this, okay, like I'll just set the stage straight. People say, well, you don't look old enough. And like, especially when I tell them like I've got a 19-year-old and he's going to college and I've got 3 kids, 19, 17, and 10, and boy, girl. And most people are like, well, you don't look old enough to have a kid. You don't look old enough like that. I'm 43 years old. So just so you guys know. Yeah, been doing it for a long time, coach. Been doing it for a long time. How about yourself? I'm assuming, coach, are you a real estate coach or, sports, or what's the name mean there? I'd be curious to know. All right, the next part. Yeah, look here. It says, what about jobs data? It could be difficult to consider 2026 as a market filled with opportunity when the economy lost 966,000 job openings last year. According to the May Job Openings and Labor Turnover Survey, which is JOLTS, the number of job openings and hires were unchanged at 7.6 million and 5.2 million respectively, while total separations were little changed at 5.1 million. Here's the good news. The monthly ADP National Employment Report beat expectations with the private sector. Yeah, so this is exactly what I was just talking about earlier. adding 98,000 jobs in June, with pay up 4.4% year over year. This is the interesting thing, and I saw this. This is the part where discernment is so important, because there was an article that was ran by CNN or MSNBC or something like that was talking about the job market crashing, and they're talking about how people are losing it wasn't growing as fast as it should be to keep up with market demand and the affordability gaps and all that kind of stuff. But the thing is, they only focused on the one report of the ADP, and that was in regards to corporate hirings. And that number is down. That is true. That they weren't wrong in that, but they didn't tell the whole entire story. What's actually happening is more people are going into the private sector for work. They're going into the private sector, and that part is actually increasing. So when you look at the total job report, it's actually up 4.4% year over year. So you have to look at the whole picture. Like, you have to take a step back and say, what is the whole picture? What does all the data mean? And not just focus in on one thing. And this is what typically happens in regards to, reporting on statistics. They focus on one thing. So I appreciate Yahoo Finance here. They're bringing in the entire picture. Coach Lucas, former college soccer coach, but just started as MLO. So I like learning more from lives. Oh, awesome. That's great. Yeah. So full confession on here. I don't know if you've been on this live stream before, but I actually had never really watched soccer. My youngest daughter started playing just little I don't know what they call it, but little soccer, little kid soccer. And so we started going. I started enjoying that. But then the World Cup happened, and I'm sure I'm part of the demographic that just got into soccer because of the World Cup, and I am definitely part of that group. But I fell in love with it. I watched it constantly. I watched every game. I caught up to the highlights. I researched how it all worked and the formations and the structure and all that. I got extremely fascinated, and I began to see the patterns. I began to see kind of how everything works. So I'm like you, Coach. I like to see, kind of learning from more about life and kind of, seeing different perspectives. And that was what soccer was for me. So glad you're here. Glad you're taking the time to watch me. So that's really cool. All right, let's continue. Overall hiring is steady, but job growth continues to favor certain industries, including healthcare. Neela Richardson, chief economist for ADP, said in a release, in March, this solid performance was accompanied by a boost in pay gains for job changers. So the jobs market isn't struggling to the point that it would lead to a housing market crash anytime soon. So that's one of the biggest factors, right? If people are making money and there's jobs to be had, they have income, they can then buy. Home prices continue to slowly rise. Are home prices slumping? No, but they're also not experiencing the rapid growth seen in early 2025. U.S. annual home price growth was 0.8% in May, picking up the pace from 0.4% year-over-year growth in April, according to real estate data company Cotality. Now, here's again a moment for pause, because this is nationally looking, okay? This is like looking at that big overall picture. I always encourage everybody, zone in on your local market to see what's actually going on. Like, if you were to look at some of my markets that I have offices in, there are a range of different things happening. In one market, we're seeing a decrease in home value because the homes are sitting longer, so sellers are decreasing the cost of the listing price of their home to get it sold. So in some ways, we see this increase. I've got some markets that are having a much bigger increase and going up, and sometimes 6, 7, 8% because job growth is so heavy in that area. Maybe new industry is coming in. So the other areas, industry might be moving out. So you really got to go in and look at your local data, see what's going on. And what I would say, if your consumer is reading this, articulate this into your local terms, and then you become more relevant for your consumer. Fly Fisherman says, some advice on rural home sales. Find a great home inspector to learn from. So many rotted hopes. Yeah, honestly, that's a great idea. Here's the thing too. I'll just say this. You bring up a good point, Fly Fisherman. We don't ask enough questions. As real estate agents, we go out and we list, and we have our buyers and sellers that we represent, and we go out and we just do our jobs. But we don't spend enough time engaging in conversations and asking questions with people, other professionals in our industry. And I think that's a lost opportunity for us. I think we should be, actively getting in relationships with, like you mentioned, a home inspector, and talking to them about things that they're seeing, what's going on, that they see, what's the biggest problems in your market, and really engage in asking very good questions to help you to understand how are these type of things, especially in the case of like an inspector, if they see mold, water damage, those type of things. Yeah, exactly. Leads to overpriced poor homes. Yeah. So engaging with conversation with other professionals in your industry So that way you can help navigate it with your consumer. Like, hey, what happens if mold comes up? What are some of the remedies of that? Like, what does that mean for the value of the home and the cost of purchase and those type of things? We need to be asking more questions. So I think that's really, really good. I think that's a great idea. U.S. annual home price growth was 0.8. Oh, sorry. We are in a period of low sales and price growth that mirrors the disconnect between incomes and home prices seen during 20th century recessions. Thom Malone, principal economist at Cotality, said in an analysis. This time, however, the dynamics are reversed. Rather than an economic collapse, a housing surge is waiting for the rest of the economy to catch up. While the 2026 spring home buying season may spark some momentum, the most likely outcome is modest growth as buyers and sellers remain at a standoff. It's very, very true. You're welcome, Fisherman. Yeah, absolutely. You're welcome. Yeah, and just so you guys know, if you go to the YouTube channel in the description, all these articles and stuff are in that description. You can click on that and check that out. Your housing market crashes, supply and demand dynamics. For the housing market to crash, supply and demand must be drastically out of balance, favoring supply. While supply is tight, the discrepancy isn't as drastic as it was in 2008. This is going back to what Fly Fisherman even said, right? As of 2026, the National Association of Realtors showed a housing supply of 4.5 months. Now, what does that mean? Just so you know, that's called the absorption rate. Okay, the 4.5 months, that's an absorption rate. In other words, if all realtors in your market or across the nation stopped listing properties, how long would it take us to run out of properties to sell? Right now, we're sitting at 4.5 months. Okay, that's actually a lot of inventory. If you go back to like the pandemic, if you go back to 2021 and 2022, we had maybe 30 days at the most, sometimes only 2 to 3 weeks. It was ridiculous. The absorption rate was so low. We just didn't have any inventory. And as soon as you listed something, it was sold. It was just crazy. It was wild. And that kind of market actually makes me personally a little bit nervous. In a normal market, balanced between buyers and sellers, we would have a 6-month supply of homes, said Rick Sharga, founder and CEO of CJ Patrick Company, a market intelligence firm for real estate and mortgage companies. For comparison, the buildup to the 2008 financial crisis led to a drastic oversupply, 13 months. That was more than double the average figure of 6 months. Yeah, banks were just throwing out money. I mean, they were just like, yeah, go build and whatever. Hey, we'll give you TVs, couches, we're going to stock your house, whatever. They were just throwing out money. And so the builders were just building. They were throwing stick houses up like left and right. So we overbuilt. So there's so many homes in the market. And that's what led to that. Housing crisis lessons for today. The housing crash that started in 2007 and contributed to the global financial crisis continues to weigh heavily on the minds of many economists and consumers. But, and this is a good but, the factors that led to that crash are not in place today. Okay, that is just, if anyone ever goes back to that, we have got to rest there. Like, we do not have the same makeup anymore. It's the whole financial market is completely different than what that was. Not only are housing supply levels at home and home equity levels vastly different, but mortgages are a different animal as well. They're not the same. Lending practices have tightened significantly since 2007, making for a wildly different scenario today than we faced back then. David Gottlieb, a wealth advisor and savvy advisor, said via email. Domino, good morning to you. Glad you made it in. Glad to have you. Central 21 Edge, Kevin, good morning, my friend. I hope everything's going well for you down in Florida. Let me know, man. Let me know. I hope everything's going great. I'm sure it is, man. I'm sure you're rocking and rolling. You're a go-getter. Gone are the days of the low to no documentation mortgage, zero down for anyone and everyone. Yeah, we all know this. This is the subprime lending products. Those are all gone. We don't have any of that kind of stuff going on. Again, just not going to happen. Just not going to happen. Signs of a housing market crash. Whether you're monitoring your home's value or hoping to buy a new home, you may want to watch for signs of a future housing market crash. An economic shock, such as a significant stock market crash or a prolonged period of job cuts, could signal the start of a housing market crash. Those are the signifiers. Like if you see something like that, that would probably be something like, yeah, probably could be happening. We do not see that right now. It's an adjustment. It's still just an adjustment. Okay? That's all it is. It's just an adjustment. All right. Let's jump into the next one here. This next article here is by Inman, and I'm going to get into like an Inman launch is Inman 2.0. If you guys are subscribers to Inman News, they announced like a new version of Inman's coming out. So I'm just going to touch on that too a little bit later. But right now, we're going to jump into an article. It says how real estate is rethinking social media in the AI era. From LinkedIn to YouTube to AI tools, agents can stand out online by using tech to amplify. Look, I'm just going to pause for just a second. There is a ton of conversation about AI. There's a lot of AI hype going on. And there are absolutely good use cases for it. But I also think there's a risk in just going down the AI route and just embracing every type of AI that just you become just like everybody else. And like, especially when it comes to like social media, like design, I was like skimming through like Instagram, and it's like everything you kind of see, it's like, it's very similar. Everybody's kind of doing the same thing. There's not like this big differentiator. And what is actually being lost, and I have no idea what this article is going to be talking about. Maybe it's going to get into, I don't know. But what I think is being lost is that nuance of just the real human behind the scenes. Like, again, everyone's jumping on this AI thing. I think it's fine, has its use case. But man, I think there's some big need for some authenticity, right? Which is why I like doing what I'm doing here. I think it's great. This is me. I mean, this is me. This is me in the raw. I literally do not plan anything. So, and I like doing that. I like all the mistakes and all that kind of stuff. I like being human. All right, anyway. That's a bunny trail if I've ever seen one. All right. How real estate agents is rethinking social media in the AI era. It says this: artificial intelligence may be reshaping how agents create content, but authenticity, yeah, okay, there it is, remains the differentiator, according to speakers during a pair of marketing sessions at MN Connect San Diego on Wednesday. Domino, I'm doing silly things on AI. I'm using the new Kimi K3 model to make a local news aggregator. Oh, interesting. I don't even know, like, I'm not even sure what Kimi K3 is. It's hard to keep up with everything. I mean, it really is. I mean, it's crazy. Let me write this down. Kimi K3. I'm gonna check and see what that is. I don't know what that is, but news aggregator sounds great. I use that. I need to do something like that anyway. That's what I do here. So that'd be great. Bro, it's so good. Okay, good. Yeah, I'm gonna check it out. Thanks for that. That's awesome. From YouTube and Instagram to LinkedIn and AI-powered video tools, speakers share strategies for building a recognizable brand while using technology to work more efficiently. The common theme: AI can streamline content creation, but it shouldn't replace the person behind the business. Yeah, okay, there we go. That's exactly where I would land. I love AI for just the streamlining of kind of your everyday systems, and even for some content creation. I think that's great. But that person that you are you, and you're being you with all your mistakes and imperfections and all that kind of stuff, guys, in this kind of age, that's what people really want more. They want to see more of that. Standing out in a sea of sameness. I think this is going to go exactly what I was just talking about. Katie Lance, CEO of Katie Lance Consulting, urged agents to focus on standing out in what she called a sea of sameness. Yeah, I think we would all agree with that. There's a ton of that. Their mediocrity is my opportunity, Lance said, borrowing a quote from Walt Disney. There are thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, of agents and brokers who are creating content and posting videos and using AI, and a lot of them, quite frankly, are a little mediocre. Instead of relying on generic market updates or broad home buying advice, Lance encouraged agents to create hyperlocal, highly specific content that reflects their expertise and personality. When it comes to your content, I want to see you. I want to know what you sound like, what you stand for, and what you're all about. I don't want to see the AI version of you. I want to see you. I mean, who doesn't agree with this, right? Like the generations coming up, they to be honest, don't like AI that much. They like all the little nuance and the funny laughing stuff that it does. But like if you generate like a logo or a t-shirt print, they are starting to label it as AI. Like, oh, that's just AI. And another thing that really drives me nuts, guys, and like this is just on the YouTube side of things. And I was messing around with some of the thumbnails too, like using AI to generate some of my thumbnails. And I put them up there. And it's like every time I look at those and I look at other people that are starting to use this, they all start looking the same. They have all this like coloring and layering in. And then I did like what they call A/B testing. So I did like a thumbnail where it was just like my face, like this screenshot with some text on it. And then I did the AI version and I did the A/B testing on that. Well, the one that is just my picture of me and my raw with some text on it way outperformed the AI generated one. So I just found that was interesting. So it was just, even though that's just one topic, I think it's very true. I think people are more encouraged to click on something if it looks more human than if it's more AI. So just take that and make a note of that. I think that's very true. Lance also encouraged agents to think beyond individual posts by creating a long-term editorial calendar, batching content creation, and repurposing videos across multiple platforms. She recommended using AI-powered editing tools to improve audio, remove pauses, and create shorter clips from longer videos, while cautioning against outsourcing agents' personality to artificial intelligence. Yeah, there's so just so you guys know, a little bit tip on what I do here. Like the way I had this set up is like I'll do my live stream. I'll do for about an hour, and I'll go through a bunch of different articles, and then I use a program called Riverside. Riverside is an online platform that it is pay. You have to pay for it. But you upload, your videos and stuff to it, and then it just takes and creates shorts out of it and automatically creates them and then syndicates them for you. And then it also edits out the things that she was talking about, all the the mistakes and all this weird stuff. But and you can set the filter to be like extreme or really low. And if I'm like really low on it because I don't want it to remove all of my awkward ums and all that. As a matter of fact, if you watch my videos and if you guys have been here often, you'll hear me say this all the time. It actually drives me nuts, but I keep doing it. I'll say, right? Like, I'll be like, Raymond using AI-powered editing tools to improve audio, right? Right? I say that all the time. And when I go back and I'm like looking at the audio, it's like, right? So I'm trying not to say that as much, but it's just my natural way of talking, I guess. So it's authentically me. But it can cut that kind of stuff out if you wanted it to. Climbing cringe mountain. If authenticity was a recurring message throughout the sessions, Andrew Jevin put a name to one of the biggest obstacles keeping agents from creating content. Cringe mountain. I wonder what that's about. The Compass agent said during a panel discussion moderated by EXP's Wendy Forsyth that nearly every creator starts on one side of the mountain, battling imposter syndrome, comparison, and self-consciousness about appearing on camera. The only way to reach the other side, he said, is to keep creating anyway. Oh, yeah. This is a big thing. A lot of people will not ever record a video because they are doing exactly that. They're like, I'll never be just as good as that person. I won't do it the way they do it. And you got this comparison thing constantly going on because you follow certain YouTubers or Instagram or TikTokers and that kind of stuff, and they have such a good way of delivering, and they just seem really good at what they do. And then you don't ever do it. The reality is like, it doesn't really matter. Like you're going to start off when you first start doing anything like this, you're going to start off and it's going to be junk. Okay. Like I'm still working on it. It's a constant work in progress, but you just get better at it. The more you do it, you get more natural. I remember when I first went live stream a few years ago, I did a live stream, man, I was nervous as heck. I mean, I was sweating and I was like, man, I could not figure out why. I was like, why am I so nervous? Like I teach classes and I have meetings all the time, but I was nervous. I was like, why am I so nervous? Because it does feel weird. I mean, it is a weird thing. Like I'm sitting here literally for an hour talking to myself, looking at a lens and talking to myself. Now, you guys have made it like a whole lot easier, I will say. When you get to the point where you have people engaging and talking to you in the comments, it's not so hard. It actually makes it a whole lot better. But just keep at it. Just do it. Just push record and go. I do think people connect with us as who we are as a person, Jevin said. Being authentically ourselves, whatever that is to you, is important. Jevin, who joked that he recently got a cringe mountain tattoo, said the discomfort never fully disappears. Instead, agent repeatedly push through it as they build confidence and find their voice online. I built my business by just being authentically myself, he said. The more I'm myself, the more the right business comes. Yeah. The less you try to be somebody else and you are just yourself, that is relational and people can connect to that. You're not trying to be something else. You're just communicating the way you would talk in general, right? Like there were some things I would look back at my videos and wish I didn't do. Like if I go back and I analyze myself and I could easily do that, there's things I wouldn't want to do. Like I'm doing it now. I hate whenever I see my videos and I've got my hands going all the time. But that's what I do. That's just what I do. When I talk, I'm using my hands. I don't do it like crazy, but I just use my hands. A lot of people think she has 100,000 followers. She must be getting all these leads daily from social, Steckling said. Most of it is still coming from my sphere of influence and past clients. But then someone will refer me, and then I'll go check my Instagram. They're like, she's legit. She knows what she's doing. Steckling said memorable listing videos have helped attract buyers directly in some cases, while also giving sellers tangible evidence of the marketing effort behind each listing. Jevin said LinkedIn has become an unexpected source of business after years of focusing primarily on Instagram. Interesting. LinkedIn. In our area, LinkedIn is not used that much, so I don't know if it is in your area and how you use it. I don't really use it that much, but maybe in some areas it's great. Rather than creating original market reports, Jevin shares local news articles alongside his own perspective and strategy. He said has helped establish him as a thought leader and led to new professional relationships. That's funny. That's what I do. Honestly, that statement right there, I would say is absolutely true. I have actually, I love doing this. It does many things that help benefit me and also hopefully you. But for me, it's like I get better at just kind of being more comfortable in just weird environments and awkwardness. But I also get to learn at the same time. And so it causes me to slow down reading these articles and digest a little bit more, which makes me more equipped to be able to answer questions when I'm asked. So there's so many different benefits of doing this. AI is as an assistant, not a replacement. YouTube strategist Jesse Doe argued that long-form YouTube remains one of the strongest lead generation channels for agents because viewers often arrive with high purchase intent. Rather than chasing subscribers or viral videos, Dow said agents should focus on creating consistent educational content designed to generate inquiries and closings. Honestly, like my own experience here, like, first of all, on YouTube, like subscribers mean nothing. They mean nothing now. Like the only thing about subscribers that matter is subscribers help get you monetized and get you to this next threshold, which I could care less about. Like, I mean, obviously, yeah, please subscribe. I'm gonna keep saying that because it does help the algorithm push my videos out. Absolutely. But really, subscribers mean nothing. Like what really means is the views and how long people stay. And the cool thing about like doing long form video is it lives on forever. Like all my videos are continually getting views, but 90% of people that watch me on YouTube are not subscribers and probably never will click the subscribe button. And it's getting less and less of a thing because AI and the algorithm and stuff like that is getting so good at bringing things up into the feed. People don't feel the need to subscribe as much anymore. Because if they watch one video of mine, it's going to suggest when I post another one back into their feed and they'll watch another one. And then when you start linking that video to another video and then another video, then they get trapped in the cycle of watching more of that, which then pushes the algorithm, put me back into their feed even more. And they still might not subscribe. So we can chase all these weird metrics and think that's success. But the reality is just recording, not worrying about any of that is actually the most important thing. I mean, it's kind of fun to watch data. I love looking at data. But I honestly do not look at my YouTube, TikTok, Instagram data at all. I don't care. I'm not doing that for this. I do because I like doing it. And if I started getting into the numbers like that, it might change the way I approach this. It might change what works for me and what I find enjoyable and what I enjoy doing. And I'm not trying to create another job out of this. I'm literally doing this because this is the way I'm going to do it. Like it or not like it, right? So I just encourage you to do likewise. Go out there and be relevant and, pour back into your consumers and give them helpful advice. We do not judge channels based on views or subscribers. Yeah, those are vanity metrics. Leads and closings are the only score that counts. Yeah, amen. Leo Robles, an eXp realty agent and coach, offered a different perspective on AI, encouraging agents to use it for repetitive marketing tasks while preserving their time for activities that directly generate business. Amen. Let's see. We got to get on. Is that the end of this? Yeah. It says, as AI continues to reshape search, content creation, and online discovery, speakers said the agents who consistently share their expertise and personality will be better positioned to stand out, regardless of which platform they choose. Now, here's the thing too, guys, is like we've got to get in our minds that if you get into like what they're talking about, the vanity metrics, where you're watching all these numbers and you're constantly tweaking things, and then all of that overwhelms you from just going out there, pushing record and creating some content, you're losing a lot of ground in this new AI world of search, because what is happening is Google and these other platforms are going out when someone does an inquiry, and inside of that inquiry, there's an AI results. And inside of that, we all know that they are pulling from sources online. The more content you put out, regardless of how good it is, increases the likelihood that you're going to show up in the search results. So you need to be creating stuff. Like whatever it is, you got to be creating something. So anyway. All right, let's go through this last couple articles here and we'll wrap up the show. And I will be back tomorrow morning, 8:30 a.m., just so you guys know, right where you're watching me now. All right, this article here. I've never read this website, but I wanted to go off of Inman to read about Inman. So once I found out Inman was putting out a new platform, how their system works, I then went out and found another article that was a different perspective out of it. I didn't want to bias, but kind of get what other people are saying. Whatever. This one says intelligence platform for residential real estate. It says CEO Tom Bond unveils a strategy in his keynote debut at Inman Connect San Diego alongside a reimagined flagship platform and Wanted, 1,000 Storytellers, a nationwide citizen reporter initiative. All right. Inman, the news and intelligence source residential real estate professionals have relied on since 1983, my birth year. Today, introduced Inman 2.0, a multi-year plan to become the definitive intelligence platform for the industry. CEO Tom Bond presented this strategy during his keynote at Inman Connect San Diego, the company's flagship conference running July 28th through the 30th at Marriott Marquis San Diego Marina. All right, so what is this? What is Inman trying to do here? It says Inman 2.0 builds on the company's editorial foundation and extends it into data, benchmarking, and connection. The plan takes Inman from a source professionals read into a platform they use to make decisions every day. Bond frames the ambition in one line. His goal is for Inman to become the Bloomberg of residential real estate. So think about this, Inman since 1983 has been writing articles in regards to the real estate industry, and specifically to real estate agents. So they have a library of information. Now, with the help of AI, it's able to then aggregate all that information in a different way to get it more accessible for us to be able to use as agents. So what they're doing is they're going from just being this news website where it's just like, hey, I can read some articles, that kind of stuff, into an entire tool data set where I can go there that aggregates all this information and puts it into tangible information that I can then apply. Okay, so that's kind of it in a nutshell. But it's very fascinating because I've used Inman for many, many years to stay current on what's going on. They're making a little bit of a shift here. So it's kind of fascinating to see what they're actually thinking. And it might make Inman a little bit more relevant for real estate agents to be a member of. It says Inman 2.0 builds on the company's editorial foundation and it extends it into data, benchmark, and connect. Okay, sorry. The strategy arrives at a moment of real pressure for the profession. Commission structures are changing. Artificial intelligence is reshaping how agents work, and brokerage consolidation is accelerating. Inman 2.0 is built to give professionals the clarity they need to operate through all of it. Inside the platform, the first expression of Inman 2.0 is reimagined flagship subscription. Inman Select 2.0, an intelligence platform modeled on the professional terminals that run other industries. It brings together a personalized morning briefing built for each member's role that opens a day with the news and the numbers that matter to them. So again, this is just a way for AI and everything to kind of know about you, aggregate that data, and put it in a way that makes sense for where you are at in your career. It says, ask Inman, an AI research assistant that answers questions against more than 40 years of Inman's newsroom archive. This is a specialist desk of AI tools built for the work agents do every day. Market Pulse for market intelligence, Recruiter AI for team growth, Copy Studio for listing and marketing copy, and Social Studio for localized social media content branded for agents. That's a lot. They're doing a lot of stuff with all this data and all this intelligence. Live market intelligence and benchmarks that show members how their market and their own business are moving. So it looks like that hints to me that there's going to be some integration with maybe some MLS data. Who knows? An open community of live rooms where members trade insight in real time with mentor matching that pairs them with operators who have been through the money moment they are in. So this is like almost like switching over into like a social media platform for real estate agents, but also a training platform, a mentoring and coaching platform, right? Inman Select 2.0 begins rolling out to members following Inman Connect San Diego. Additional data and network capabilities will arrive in phases over the year ahead. So it's very interesting that this is what's kind of happening. I think this is a good pull. This is a good move on Inman's part. Like, why not? Right? Why not? And this is where it gets a little bit better. They're not just doing this on their own. They're not just going to be a news aggregate, but they're going to the next step. It says Inman 2.0 launches with founding partners that connect the platform to the systems agents already run their businesses on. Lofty, the AI-powered CRM and marketing platform used by agents and teams nationwide, and Side, the brokerage operations platform behind 600 of the country's best real estate companies, whose combined sales volume ranks top 10 nationwide. So they're combining some extra tools. I don't know what Side is. Anybody know what Side is? I've not used that. Own Your Future. As the industry's only real estate brokerage platform, we partner with the very best agents, teams, and independent brokers to help them create and grow their own companies without the time, cost, or risk of operating a brokerage. I don't know what that is. I'll go back and research that later. But anyway, they are making some big changes. It says wanted 1,000 storytellers. Alongside the platform, Inman announced wanted 1,000 storytellers, a nationwide push to recruit a network of citizen reporters, working agents, brokers, and local market experts will report from inside their own markets, giving Inman coverage of the profession at a scale no single newsroom can reach. Recruitment opens during Inman Connect San Diego. That's interesting. Maybe I can do that. That'd be kind of fun. Inman has earned the industry's trust for 4 decades. Inman 2.0 is how we build on that foundation, giving real estate professionals the intelligence they need to run their businesses with confidence. That also means expanding who tells the story of this industry. Through 1,000 storytellers, we're putting the voices of working professionals alongside our newsroom because the best reporting on real estate comes from the people living in it every day. My ambition is straightforward, to make Inman the Bloomberg of residential real estate, said Tom Bond, CEO of Inman. I don't know if that's going to say anything, but yeah, there is a link. I'll share this. We'll just, I don't know. I'm assuming I can maybe share this. You can go in here and just check that out. There's the link. You can go check that out and read that article and watch this little video. This video will explain what's going on. Let's see if it gives us any insight. Let's see. I've never been this excited about something we're building. Okay, rather than simply adding more content or features, the vision is to create a membership that helps real estate professionals cut through the noise, make smarter decisions, and stay ahead of an industry that's changing faster than ever. That's good. So that's just a quick little statement. You can go watch the video and see what that's all about. But anyway, the whole cool factor of this is I kind of like what Inman's doing here. That's why I just wanted to bring this up. I think they're doing something really good. I think what they're doing here is taking all their information they've had for so many years and creating a robust platform. And since they have such a large subscription base already, why not create this into like a social media type platform for real estate agents to be a part of? And then I love the idea of that local reporters. I think that's great because one of my biggest complaints about any kind of news information we get is it's so broad, it's really sometimes hard to bring it into the local area. So if they do this well, if they can really pull this off, and the way I envision them pulling this off is they would find, people in certain regions that are very acute on what is going on, giving them some kind of platform of some kind to be able to aggregate news and talk about what's going on locally. And that will make their platform way more relevant for the average real estate agent because they're going to be able to click a link that goes into their region to get information on. I think this is a great move. So I'm just kind of fascinated by it and excited to see where it's going to go. All right, last article, guys, and this is where we're going to wrap up for the day, and we'll be back tomorrow, 8:30 a.m. Eastern time, okay? So where you're watching me now, that's where you can watch me again tomorrow. So just know that. I do this, and just so you guys know, I do this Monday through Thursday. Here's the thing, though, is I run a brokerage and have multiple offices, that kind of stuff. My priority is going to be my agents. So sometimes I don't get to go live Monday through Thursday, as you guys know. Sometimes I got to hit the road. I got to travel. I got to be with my agents. So sometimes that happens. My plan is to go Monday through Thursday, 8:30 a.m. unless something happens. So I apologize for that. All right. 1,500 real estate agents tested their AI search visibility. Only 1 in 10 showed up. Ishmael Sadek, we are talking, I'm switching articles now. We're now going to be talking about AI a little bit. It's 1,500 real estate agents tested their AI search visibility. Only 1 in 10 showed up at all. This article here, this is not really going to be a huge article. Okay. This is just, I'm going to share a link. I've not done it, but there is a free service out there. It's Fly Dragon. And we'll get into what this article does, but basically you fill out the little form on Fly Dragon and it analyzes your content and what you've put out there in regards to real estate as an agent and see how well it ranks in AI search results. I think this is a good thing because I've talked about this multiple times, is like right now we're entering into an era where you need to be creating content that is relevant, that is searchable by the AI, aggregators like Google. Okay. So let's get into this article here real quick. It says FlyDragon's free AI visibility scorecard measured how often agents appear in AI search. For most of them, the answer was never. Opportunity, guys. That's what that means. We know that AI search is happening. How do we get ourselves to show up in that search? That's the goal. All right. More than 1,500 real estate agents have run FlyDragon's new AI visibility scorecard since its release in mid-July of 2026. Fewer than 1 in 10 appeared in AI search results for their own market. The free tool from FlyDragon available at this website. So I'm going to see, copy a link address. I'm going to just throw this in there and you guys can click on that. I can't recommend. I don't know what this is going to do. I don't know if that's going to work or not. But this is the website, scorecard.goflydragon.com. All right. Scores an agent from 0 to 100 based on how often they appear in AI search when buyers and sellers search for agents to work with. Interest from agents accelerated after real estate coach Tom Ferry shared the scorecard with his audience on Instagram. Okay, so it has been used. Tom Ferry, if you guys don't know who Tom Ferry is, you probably should. If you've been in real estate, he's been a real estate coach for many, many years. Actually, his dad, I actually know his dad. I know his dad way more than I know Tom. I've never met Tom, but Mike Ferry I know pretty well. And Mike's been doing it for even forever. I mean, he's been a real estate coach for so many years. He lives in Vegas. Among the first 1,500 agents tested, 89% received a visibility score of 0. Whew. Ouch. For those agents, 0 did not mean they appeared near the bottom of a list. It meant their name was missing completely when AI was asked which local agent a buyer or seller should contact. Most agents wouldn't know this is happening because they're not ready for this new world. People are skipping the let me interview you phone calls and letting AI do the heavy lifting before speaking with an agent. This is true. I was actually talking to somebody just the other day. I asked him, how'd you find your agent? I was out of town in Utah and we were talking and they had their house on the market. I said, how'd you find your agent? They said, well, we went into Google, Gemini, and just asked it, what's the local agent in Salt Lake City and Sandy, Utah? And it brought up 3 agents. And those are the 3 agents that they interviewed. Take note. Agents can tell you how many leads came from Zillow, Google, or a referral partner, said Tim Harvey, founder and CEO of FlyDragon. But what they don't see, and the reason why the visibility scorecard exists, is the hundreds or thousands of opportunities they're missing out on in AI search because they don't know how to look. The results also show that a successful real estate career does not automatically translate into AI visibility. Agents with years of experience, strong local reputations, and established teams were among those who failed to appear. AI search needs enough reliable information to trust an agent before they can send them listings. When that information is missing, unclear, or inconsistent, the agent will be ignored even when they are well known in their market. FlyDragon created the scorecard to expose that gap while agents still have time to address it. The company believes the remaining months of 2026 will be the difference between owning a market and never being included. Visibility takes time to build. The longer real estate agents hesitate, the farther away they are from being the agent AI will recommend in their market. The fact that only 1 in 10 agents showed up at all should be uncomfortable to hear. Man, that's true. That's very uncomfortable. By the time every agent agrees this is important, the easy window will be gone, Tim Harvey said. The agents checking now still have time to find the gaps and fix them. The agents who wait until it's painful to finally invest in AI search will have a lot of ground to cover. Yeah. So anyway, that there is a great tool. And here that we talked about this multiple times, talking about the future of how the SEO is going to work, how search results are going to work, and what that looks like. And we are drastically moving into where AI is doing a lot of that. Like if I was to go to Claude or ChatGPT or Gemini, and I was to type in looking for a real estate agent in Chicago, Illinois, who comes up? All right, who comes up? If you're not coming up, start doing research on how to come up because that's becoming the normal way of search now. And it's more conversational as well. Now, what I have been doing is researching a little bit of this. And the way you do that is making sure there's a consistency across all of your platforms at what you're selling. Make sure there are reviews on Google. Make sure there's reviews on your website. Make sure your bio is addressing specifically what you do. Make sure that bio is the same on all platforms, Facebook, Instagram, all of them. Make sure it's very consistent. You should be still writing blogs and giving content out there and giving your opinion about news articles and making them more local. You should be doing videos. You should be doing shorts. Yes, it is all overwhelming. And you can spend a lot of time doing that, or you can still do the more grassroots stuff in local marketing. But at some point, you need to figure out a way to get in front of AI and get AI to recommend you. It's going to be a requirement. It's where we're at. It's moving fast and faster and faster. You got to do it. All right, guys. Awesome. I've come to the end. It's 9:30. I've got to wrap up. Got to get to a meeting. Guys, it's good to be back. Glad to see you guys. I appreciate each and every one of you guys and the engagement in the comments. That was great. I love that kind of banter and conversations back and forth. Such a good thing. That's why I like doing this. It's because of you guys coming back day in and day out, talking with me and conversing. I greatly, greatly appreciate that. So thank you guys. Hey, Bobby, have a blessed day as well, my friend. Have a good one. Go sell some real estate, man, and then sweat some. Sweat a little. You might have already sweat. I got to go sweat a little bit later today. All right, guys, take care. That is your real estate brief for today. If you found this helpful, please consider hitting the like button to tell YouTube you would like to see more of this type of content. Consider subscribing and follow me on TikTok to join a community of real estate agents that are focused on building a business that is relationship focused first. It's the most important thing, guys, that you could ever do, is focusing on the person and building that relationship. There is always so much more I can be talking about, but that's what we'll be doing tomorrow, 8:30 a.m. Eastern time. Until then, take care. We'll see you then.